Move over, Lord of the Rings. There's a new contender for best trilogy of all time in town. They actually did it. They made 3 of these. They released them all in theaters. And I watched all 3. The hell's going on? This is once again directed by Renny Harlin and starring Madeleine Petsch, and we've done it. We've reached the end until they decide to do another one, which I've already heard talks about. Whether that happens or not, I don't know, but if it does... The Strangers Chapter 1 was just a remake of the original film, but worse in every way, with the characters making the dumbest decisions possible at all times. And I thought the second one had to be better, because it's not going to be a remake, it's going to be new, so it must be an improvement. The second one was worse, actually. The second one was embarrassingly bad. There was no story, there was a weird CGI boar fight for no reason, filling out the runtime, I guess, and this just terrible backstory where we learn who Tamra is and what the strangers are all about as people, as if anybody gave a shit about that. So I couldn't even go into this one thinking, well, it has to be better than the last one because I thought that before and I was wrong. But I gave it a shot anyway, and in some ways this could be maybe considered the best of the 3. I immediately want to retract that. It feels gross to call any of these the best of anything. It's a meaningless thing to say. But I'll give Madeleine Petsch credit. Petsch? I think Madeleine has been pretty good in all of these. And that's like the extent of what I can say about this movie as far as positives. I think it's better than the last one. There are a few more interesting things done with the story. But shit, man. Actual shit. This is such a bastardization of what anybody gives a shit about from this franchise. People cared about the original Strangers because of the grounded nature of it and the fear of them being, I'm gonna fucking blow your mind, strangers. You don't know who they are, you don't know anything about them at all. This could happen to anybody, anywhere. That's where the fear comes from. But now, you're telling me, actually, this is all just isolated to this one bumfuck town. So as long as you don't travel to the creepiest town in America, you'll be fine. Oh, well, I guess I just won't do that then. Thanks for the heads up. And you're giving me all of these flashbacks. A bunch of this movie is scattered with flashbacks showing the strangers grow up through their lives as serial killers. You're telling me who they are and what they're about. Why? Why would I want to know such a thing? Of course, on an intimate, personal level, they are still strangers to the main character, but the fear comes from the complete unknown, not explaining who they are. That is missing the entire point of the whole ass title of the franchise. It would be like making a Halloween movie that takes place in June. You're doing it wrong. And I'm not even a fan of this franchise. I don't even really like the original movie. So I imagine if somebody is a fan of that film, which I understand why people are, I get why people like it, and I think it's way better than this shit. I'm just not really into it. But if you're a fan of what this franchise is supposed to be, this is probably even more offensive to you. You spend 3 movies building up who is Tamra, who are the strangers. Why? Why would you do that once? But 3? You didn't have enough story for 1 movie, and you made 3. That is the kind of hubris only spoken of in legends. You know, when they were making The Exorcist Believer and that was supposed to be a trilogy, after they made that one, they were like, oh, that was a bad idea. We should stop doing that. And they didn't make the other 2. But The Strangers was just like, go! All 3. Fuck it. They're cheap to make. Damn. The story of this is just main character girl continues to fight against the strangers until the movie ends. Like, that's all we have going here. It's just the ending of her encounter with the strangers that for some reason needed to take 3 movies, needed to take years to tell. And that's why I'm being so harsh. If this was just 1 movie, if they took this story and the most important elements of the other two and put them together into one movie that wasn't called The Strangers, it was just called The Masked Dudes or something, it wouldn't be good, but it would be whatever. I wouldn't care all that much. It'd be forgettable. But because this was years, 3 times, and because it's The Strangers, a franchise that you're just using the name recognition of and kind of pissing all over, I have so little respect and appreciation for the waste of time and money and effort that this has been. Anything people valued about like the stalking, the home invasion, the horror elements of that original is completely gone. Any of the scares here are just generic jump scares. Just show a thing on the screen and play a loud boom sound. There doesn't have to be any buildup. There's no suspense. None of what people liked about that original. Prey at Night had like some fun scenes, some fun set pieces like the pool. This has nothing like that either. It's just jump scares. It's not scary. It doesn't even really feel like it's trying to be scary much. The main character barely has any dialogue in this, so I don't really care about her as a person. One of the first things she does in the movie, I'm not going to get specific with spoilers, but one of the first things she does is that she gains the advantage and immediately finds a way to fuck it up as hard as she possibly can. And I was like, all right, I'm done. Just die. I don't care if you die. Eventually, she has to start being more competent because we got to wrap the shit up, and I'll give her credit for that, but she barely talks in the whole movie. So I felt barely connected to her as a person. And I didn't in the other movies either because it's just a bland character doing stupid things in a stupid story. But any chance this movie had to make me care, it didn't do it. None of the final reveals are interesting. Every single person in this entire town the whole time has always just been like, what are you doing here in this town, little lady? Yeah. Just like setting everybody up as a red herring, and it's so cheesy, it's so lazy. The dialogue is bad, it is cringe, I do not like it. And so all of this extra info, seeing the strangers grow up and perform all of these kills is just not meaningful. It doesn't add anything to anything. It is a waste of time. There aren't really any interesting kills. There's nothing that's really all that gory. There's nothing in here to satisfy horror fans of any kind. Gore, suspense, character work, surprises, anything. The climax? It would be insulting to call it a climax. If you were hoping for an exciting final showdown, the filmmakers said, fuck you. You get nothing. You get nothing and you'll like it. Well, I did not like it, good sir. I did not. At least the original film had some merit to it. It had some effective scenes. It did scare a lot of people. Prey at Night had some fun. When they actually overcame the strangers and succeeded, it felt like they earned it. Unlike a certain someone, a certain red-haired someone. There was one part of the movie where I thought they were doing something a little bit unique, where the structure of the story and what happens to certain characters when, I was like, oh, okay. That's actually a bit of a surprise. It's kind of strange, but let's see where you're going with it. That could be kind of interesting. But then no, that's actually not what they were doing. I was wrong. This movie, for some reason, feels like it's trying to come across as profound or deep or something. Yes, really, The Strangers Chapter 3, it starts off with text that's the definition of the words serial killer. Okay, sure. Oh, damn, you've defined what a serial killer is. Oh my God, we're in for a ride. And then there's all this dialogue throughout where it's like, now you know nothing but pain. And it's like, no, now I feel nothing. It's trying to act like it's an exploration of anything. Grief, trauma, pain, darkness, anything at all. It's not. Stop pretending. 1 out of 10, I guess. This movie's actual quality probably doesn't quite deserve that. It's boring as sin, and it's bad, but a 1 out of 10 is usually reserved for something more deeply offensive. But I'm deeply offended by this entire endeavor. I cannot separate this from the fact that it has taken 3 movies to do this, to amount to this, and a bastardization of a franchise. That fact makes me give this entire effort a 1 out of 10, because what a waste of time it truly was. At least Whistle had that one cool kill in it. I thought Dracula was actually fine, but shit, man. Is 28 years later still playing? Just go see that again, I guess. It drains me. It drains me a little bit as a horror fan when I have to talk about these nothings. I cannot believe... What were they thinking? There was literally... You had to spend the whole first movie remaking the old story, and you did it worse. The second movie was just a chase scene that could have been accomplished in 10 minutes, but you made it 90, and now we have just what should have been the climax of one movie, and it isn't even any good either. I can't even talk anymore, dude. That's where we're at. What was I even trying to say there? It isn't even any good either. And you took years to get here. Like, if I went to McDonald's and I just wanted some chicken nuggets and I ordered a 10-piece and you gave me like 3, and then I had to wait a year to get 3 more, and then another year to get the last 4, and also they were mushy and kind of weird tasting and actually pink on the inside, and I got sick all 3 times. That's what this is. There were some good songs in the movie. The final one, though, was weird. They used it in a weird place. 10 out of 10. I think it's probably one of the best trilogies ever made. Not just in horror, but in cinema. And I think this is going to change the landscape of Hollywood forever with its brilliance. Oh, shit, man. I want to go to bed. I don't care anymore. I'm not even tired. I just want to go to bed to be done with the day that I saw this. I need it to be a new day now. I normally record my reviews the next day, but I just wanted to get this out. I wanted to be done with it. I wanted to have a fresh rant straight out of the theater. Is there anything else to be said? Probably. There's probably smaller things that I could talk about and complain about here, but I think you get it. I think we're done. I think that's enough. Whatever you can say about the first 2, just say that again here. 3 movies to do this. Next, we're going to make 3 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. There aren't going to be any dream sequences, and it's going to be about the origin of why the Thompsons decided to name their daughter Nancy. How about that? Thank you for watching. This has all just been my opinion. Leave your thoughts in the comments. If you are actually a major fan of these movies, genuinely, that's fine. You're allowed to be. Let me know in the comments. I want to know what you like about them. If you want to complain, please do. I'd love to continue complaining in the comments. I genuinely would. I'm in full hate mode right now. I don't care. But let's talk about it down there in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you want to see more from me. I appreciate it, and I hope to see you next time. Don't be a stranger.